I want to start right now with what I believe in. I believe that a lot of people here don't maximize their potential only because of fear. It's only because of fear. Let me tell you something about myself. I'm an introvert with generalized anxiety disorder. So basically what that means is I hate talking to people and I'm scared of everything. And that's okay. If you hear it in my voice right now, I'm scared. But that's okay, because what matters right now is what you learn from me and not what I look like. So tama ba ako, di ba? Sometimes, you can't pursue the things you want, or you can't learn the things you want to learn because you're scared. New technology is scary. Di ba? It's also scary because you look at it and you think, how am I gonna learn this? How am I supposed to learn all of this? All of these new things. Well, I want you to take this in and tell yourself that you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be extra smart, and you don't have to be very strong to pursue what you want to pursue. Kasi tingnan niyo ako. I'm scared all the fucking time. But all the men in the industry follow me in just a snap. Why? Because even though I'm scared, I face it. And sometimes, your fear stems from one thing, the lack of knowledge. So, with that, one of the solutions you can do is be curious. You always have to be curious. Let me tell you a story. Does any one of you know what this is? Leroy. Yes, it's a Leroy stencil set. Before I started architecture school, my uncle, who is an architect, gave me a very old but very well-maintained Leroy stencil set. It was given to him by my grandpa, and he's also a geodetic engineer. So in a way, it's kind of an heirloom of sorts. So when I received it, I was so very proud that it was passed down to me, because we also had other people in our family that's pursuing architecture and engineering. And I always look at it, and I can't help but think that that thing, in the old days, when we had no CAD or BIM, was an innovation come to life. And every time I look at it, I imagine all the times that this stencil set has made my uncle's life easier. A simple thing helped millions of AEC professionals throughout the generations. And why was it made? Because there was a great need for such a tool in the old days. In the old days, everyone drafted everything manually. And lettering was a great part of it. And in the times when you need uniformity, or your new drafters are very good at lettering, it's this simple tool saved lots of architects and engineers' assets. This gift of curiosity has inspired me to swim along with all the new innovations. And this is where I started growing more and more curious and explorative. Throughout college, I incorporated different new technologies in my designs, even when people laughed at me, or my professors kept telling me, that's too expensive, that's not feasible. I got low grades for doing it, but I didn't give a shit. I wanted to explore. And I won't let anyone get in my way, even though I'm so scared of failing, because it's my uncle that pays my tuition fee. And it's okay. And in my thesis, I went all in. I designed a prototype, self-sustaining floating resort and marine observatory. That's so long, oh my God. packed with all the latest technology. And you know what I got for that? I got a 1.75 grade. Because one of the jurors said, this is word for word, I will never forget what he said. Hindi ko alam yung ginagawa mo. Kaya hindi kita pwede bigyan ng uno. Pero hindi rin kita pwedeng ibagsak. Kasi hindi ko alam yung ginagawa mo. And then he proceeded to write tres. I was pissed. But a year later, an opportunity came around and I was nominated for A Design Award and I won gold. I won the Gold A Design Award for Modern Design. And months later, I received an email from NCCA that I have to receive an Ani ng Dangal for winning in Milan. And this is where I realized that I will not let anyone who doesn't know what I'm doing get in my way. I'll keep exploring. It's my purpose to keep exploring. And this is also where I realized that I need to share my gift of exploration to others. So, here I am. And when you come to think of it, this is all because of my Leroy stencil set. You see, along my journey, I also realized this. It's important that every one of us in the industry learn, observe, and appreciate the technological advancements throughout the generation, even in the past, the history of our processes. Because this way we will understand why we have the technology we have right now, and why we should pursue and champion the use of these new innovations. Where am I going with this? You see, a lot of my students, before they enrolled in my classes, were terrified, overwhelmed, scared of all this new technology because it all seems too daunting, it all seems too much. And this is what I always tell them. All the things that have come out, the new softwares, the new applications, the new developments, they are all invented and developed for a need, as tools to make our lives better. It is made for us to be able to stretch out the possibilities. Look back at the problems those developments were made and try to understand, those developments were made to answer, and try to understand the purpose of the new technology you're faced with. Keep exploring, keep learning, and never be comfortable with the technology you're used to. Because as professionals in the AEC industry, it is our responsibility to provide the best design we can. And these new technologies are the weapons developed especially for us to stretch reality and make the impossible possible. So who am I? And what are we doing here? As our host said, I'm Cecilia Tale. I'm the founder and lead coach of the BIM process. It's a learning and migration program that focuses on your career in switching to building information modeling and management by teaching strategies and the process of BIM. I coach individuals and professionals in pursuing BIM, and I act as a consultant for businesses. I specialize in teaching the process of BIM, strategizing systems, business plans and execution plans in companies, and demystifying the latest technology so my clients and students can understand and learn it better to make sure they don't get left behind. But enough about me. What we're going to be talking about is today's technology. We won't have time to talk about everything right now, but because I spend hours and hours talking about that in my classes. But what I will be doing for you right now is I'm going to show you a few examples of the latest technology and make it less overwhelming for you by showing you the past and what the needs were and what the future holds. First, there may be some of you who are still confused with what BIM is or what BIM is as a process. So let's review. BIM can mean three things. It can mean building information model, it can mean building information modeling, or building information management. It all depends on the context it's being used in. In the simplest definition, BIM is the process of constructing a building virtually. A building information model is basically the virtual copy of the building to be constructed, but in its own way, it's more detailed. But it's more than just that. A BIM model has embedded data inside every component. Every information in the project, such as specifications, manufacturer data, design data, profiles, types, spacing, uses, functions, and more. It all depends on what's needed in the projects. That is the I in BIM, information. And in a way, you can also look at it as a means to model the building information. And if done correctly, you will be able to use that model to automate tasks such as making construction schedules, cost estimates, procurement plans, and design calculations. You can also perform other crucial tasks such as clash detection, design simulation, climate analysis, structural analysis, systems analysis, cost simulations, and construction simulations. Now, there's something else I want to tell you about BIM. BIM is not a software. It's not just a software. It's not Revit or Tekla or Bentley or SolidWorks. It's not a single software. It's a process that uses several different softwares to be able to construct a building virtually and automate the task. Just imagine graphic design. You can't be called a graphic designer if you only know Adobe Illustrator. It's the same thing with BIM. You can't be called a BIM specialist if you only know Revit. That's not the same thing. Now, why do I want to be so specific on this? It's because if you keep thinking of BIM as just one software, you're going to be so limited by only what that software can do, or what you think that software can do. I have so many students who think that Revit is just an architecture modeling tool. They don't even know the other functionalities such as analysis or structural and MEPs. Instead, if you learn the whole process of BIM, you're going to have a good understanding of the different softwares. In this way, you will also be open to learn and integrate every new innovation that comes out of your job as a BIM expert. And you will know what kind of combinations you can use to make your job better and easier. So to understand a little bit more about the possibilities of from the BIM innovations, what we will be discussing today is the pain points and how technology answered them. And to make it a little bit easier to digest, we'll take our journey throughout the project lifecycle. There are three basic project lifecycle phases: the construction phase, the design phase, and the operation phase. In the design phase, we would start with the conceptualization. Once we received all the criteria, requirements, and other considerations from our clients, then start researching, sketching, brainstorming, and making space programs, matrices, bubble diagrams. It's usually a long creative process depending on the project size, and there's nothing wrong with it actually. I still do this a lot of the times, but it could be better. We can have better tools that can help us visualize our concepts better. And here we are. We can now sketch in 3D and be sure that all our 3D sketches will be usable for the next stages of design. We can even push it a little bit forward with some detailing and design options to make our cost studies more detailed and accurate. And since modeling is easier, we can put so much more details in our concept studies. But let's take that a little bit further. There's this new development in BIM called the generative design. This is basically artificial intelligence BIM. It's an iterative design process where you as a designer or a programmer inputs the rules, criteria, constraints, along with other factors such as performance requirements, functions, spatial requirements, spatial relationships, environmental requirements, cost constraints, and others. While the program generates a number of outputs to find the optimal solution for you. Here's a fun fact. The video you're seeing right now is how Autodesk designed its Toronto office. So it is possible for a computer to take in all your thoughts and try out options for you. But this development is still in the early stages and mostly still experimental. But maybe in a couple of years it could be available to all of us. So let's go to another pain point. Design drafting. Ever tried manual CAD drafting? It hurts. The way you have to draft every single view, every single detail, every single sheet from scratch, every time, one by one. That's so much. And what happens when you get revisions? You have to update every single sheet again, one by one. Be careful, you might forget something, but before you finish, your client comes with all new revisions. How does that feel? But no, we don't really need to see the latest and the greatest technology. The very basic process of BIM answers this problem already. With the BIM process, and BIM softwares, all drawings, views, and details are derived from a single model. And a change in the model reflects in all the views and sheets instantly. Simple, fast, efficient, and when you get revisions, much easier. Now here are the construction problems. With inefficient project planning, it affects the construction budget by a lot, to a point that it has been a normal practice for construction companies, for their protection, to allot a large percentage of the project budget, anticipating these mistakes when estimating costs. And even with that, a lot of the major constructions still go over budget. And what about mistakes? Lots and lots of mistakes because of bad collaboration. I mean, seeing a cloud in your ceiling? Come on. Now let's see how these problems are answered with BIM. In BIM, you can schedule the whole project face by face, schedule procurement for your materials and requirements week by week or day by day as you want it, get all your quantities in minutes, and also simulate the whole construction to anticipate any problems and plan every major movement every step of the way. You can plan your whole construction to the tiniest detail in less time. And as long as the models are done with that in mind, you can even automate even the scheduling. Now another thing would be the virtual reality technology. This also allows the stakeholders to step inside the simulation and see how the construction should go in real life. This allows stakeholders to get a feel of the design and see the construction simulation virtually before they decide on anything or to start construction. And during the construction, we have augmented reality. AR applications can accurately track your location inside the construction site. You can also overlay BIM model over what's being built to make the inspection easier. You can also measure automatically, and when there's any mistake, you can capture this data and share it instantly to other stakeholders. So this prevents major structural errors. So if you can see there are overlays that alert them for mistakes. You can function it, you can measure it automatically And then he can send his live markups, as we call it, into whoever it concerns. AR is a part of the connected job site. With this, we use the cloud technology to connect every stakeholder to the project site and to connect all the site managers to the model designs and construction information. This way, all information is available to everyone at all times, and this allows for remote site monitoring, sending live markups, faster problem solving, and as-built information transfer. What also helps the construction greatly is the prefabricating and manufacturing. But in the traditional methods, this is rarely done since this detailing makes it costly. But with the help of BIM, you can make use of computer-aided manufacturing to prefabricate your design pieces, just like Lego sets. Or you can also make use of 3D printing. A lot of people think 3D printing is just for toys. But in construction, it's used for rapid prototyping for your design, manufacturing different project components for easier installation, scaled modeling for presentations, and you can even use 3D modeling for full scale printing of houses, bridges, and other structures. Now this next one looks like science fiction. But robots are slowly creeping their way into our construction process in many different ways. From autonomous rovers that can scan the site to provide detailed site information, to mechanical arms that automate production. These new friends are making great leap into our industry's future. So where does this take us in the cycle? We're now on the last part of the construction phase, as-built planning. The traditional method of as-built planning, aside from being grueling, is rarely really accurate. Thousands of measurements, weeks of surveying and inspection, and weeks if not months of drafting, only to end up with massive paperwork that's really impossible to look at. But now we have laser scanning technology. This technology allows us to have an accurate model replica of our built asset or our site by scanning multiple points in the project. We would need to scan 360 degrees from different points in different locations in the project, and in application, we combine these scans to generate a point cloud model. The application also allows us to automatically classify building components. It classifies walls, ceilings, floors, and it also allows us to automatically model objects like pipes, ducts, fittings. And most importantly, we can generate a model and directly import it to our BIM model for easy and hassle-free as-built planning update. But you might say that this technology is for larger projects only because of the price and the equipment and the softwares. But I'll show you a version of this that's way more suitable for smaller projects and way more affordable for smaller firms. The structure sensor. This little nugget is the first 3D sensor for iPad. The sensor itself can be bought through their website. You also have an option to have them process your scans and they'll send it to you in 2D CAD, in SketchUp, or in Revit format, depending on what you choose. And this is great for small projects like fit-outs or renovations or as-built planning of small-scale built assets. Now we're getting to our last pain point, which is mostly our client's pain. In the operations phase, when you give your client paperwork that weigh a ton, do you think they'll bother using it? No, not really. They'll only use the floor plans. And it will most probably be never looked at. That is, if it was handed over. Because a lot of the times, facility data is not properly transferred to the client at the time of the handover because every part of the team is so preoccupied by all the other paperworks while finishing construction that updating the facility data gets pushed to the sidelines. And because of this, a lot of the data that comes up while in construction gets lost. So in reality, the owners don't get much help from designers in their facility operation. And this is one of the biggest reasons why clients with bigger projects require BIM. Because they can use our BIM models and transfer it to become FIM models, which means Facility Information Management. And it can help them run their facilities. And if you're a mindful designer, you can already think about this in project design stages, so you can design an intelligent built environment that makes the operation phase smarter, more efficient, environmentally friendly, and highly automated. So, why are we talking about all this? As I said, as designers, it is our responsibility to provide our clients with the best built environment we can. And we have the responsibility to embrace and explore every new technology so we can stretch out the possibilities to make better designs. We have to take pride in our work. And like our great Zaha Hadid, we should use every resource available to us, maximize it, and make the impossible possible. Now, after all this, you may be thinking, will I be replaced by machines? Yes and no. Yes, if you're still stubborn and you don't want to learn the new technology, you will be replaced only because your skills become obsolete. But if you swim with the tide and make sure you're always up to date with the latest tech advancement, no. And instead of being replaced, you will have greater ability to jump even higher. Some jobs can be automated, but automation also produces more jobs, even higher paying jobs. So as long as you don't let yourself be left behind, you won't get replaced by all these new automations. Technology is advancing rapidly, and that is why it's better now, more than ever, that you decide to dive in and swim with the tide, or risk being obsolete. The more you wait, the more you get comfortable with where you are now, the harder it gets to keep up with the latest technology in the industry. But how do you start? Start exploring. Start asking questions. Start learning BIM. Start researching the new innovations. Open yourself up to the possibilities of this new technological era. Don't let artificial intelligence replace you. Keep learning, explore, stay curious, and let's disrupt the industry together. And I know I'm not able to tell you everything I can about this new process. So what am I going to be doing is I'm going to be hosting a live BIM course. This would start on September 28, 2019. It's a 3-lesson course that speaks about BIM, the process, the technology, and it would teach you about your roadmap to being a BIM expert or a BIM strategist like me. You can access it on our website, and it's completely free. Why is it free? We want to educate as many professionals in the AEC industry as we can about this new technology and opportunity. Because right now, the greatest challenge our industry and our country is facing is the lack of education in BIM and the new technology. We're all so behind, especially in the schools, in the universities. They don't even think of teaching about the latest technologies. So be a champion. Let's get educated about the possibilities and let's educate the industry together. Share it to your friends, colleagues, schoolmates, and get the BIM virus going. Thank you.